Okay, everyone. I would like to introduce you to two coaches, Lucio and Ianiero, who's the head coach or co-coach with Brock University men's program and women's, Luch, or just the men's?
Correct, both programs, yeah.
Both programs, and assistant coach, co-coach John DePasquale. To let you understand something, these two guys are probably two guys that have the biggest impact in my game. And I'll tell you that these two guys have represented playing for Canada. The amount of things that I had to learn from these two while I was a player has helped me become the person I am today. And I'm so happy to have these two guys in a position as university coaches, still giving back to kids and making dreams come alive. And I wanted to say thank you for that for the 2 years. Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Tough to follow now.
Two great players and now two great coaches. How that happened, I have no idea, but that's good. Okay, so enjoy the conversation with these two gentlemen. Fire the questions away through participating, through putting your hand up, and if you can, turn your cameras on so that they can see who you are, so you can make a connection with them. Okay.
That's great. Yep. So now, Coach Benning, do you want me to call you Dave or Coach Benning?
It's fine, Dave. Dave's fine.
Great. Are you going to monitor the questions,
Yeah,
hands
I'll
up,
take care of the
participants, or do you? Great. Okay. Just because once I start the Prezi, I won't probably see the screen where we can look at the chat. Thank you, Dave. Well, we just want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to just let you know a little bit about our program at Brock University. I'm in my 5th year, and John is in his 2nd year. So we're going to just kind of tag team back and forth and going to make this formal but informal, okay? At any moment, if you have a question about what it is we're discussing, go ahead and interject, feel free. But at the end, we'll also offer you an opportunity and some time for some question and answers, okay? So we're going to just talk about our soccer program specifically. I know you're a few years away before deciding about, where it is you want to go. And you have a great gentleman, Coach Dave, there to steer you in the right direction and offer you loads of advice in the years to come, not just on the field as a soccer player, but also, Dave, where did we bump into each other? In Indianapolis one year at a showcase?
Or the last, we were in Indianapolis, but one was on
Indianapolis.
Bump there and then on the road back.
That's right. So it's a small world, and Dave is the guy, the man to get you to reach your dream. Okay, he's got the tools to teach you on the field, and also by providing you these opportunities, he's able to get you to realize your dreams and move forward in your soccer careers. Okay, I'm just gonna try and share my screen, and John, if you want to go ahead and give us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm again, I'm thrilled to be a part of this. Lucio and I have started doing this actually several times now, and I want you guys to know, like, I know you've got a lot of these things, and I looked at your schedule over the next 2 days. It looks fantastic. Like this is a great opportunity for you, and I'm really excited. I just now learned of your ages, because it's never too late. And I know that I saw that kind of in the preamp too. It's never too late to start figuring out what it is that you want to do. And you're going to hear a few things from Luch, and hopefully will be a little different than some of the other ones that you've either heard or you're going to hear, because again, to begin with, Luch and I are both I've recently retired, but we're both high school teachers. Okay. We're both dads. Okay. So all of our kids played pretty high level sports, very high level. They've all gone through the university process and the recruitment and all that. So it's kind of neat at all different levels too. So this is a really good start for you. But the first thing I'm going to begin with, as Luch kind of gets this thing going, is your number one person. It's great. You've got all of these supports you do, and Coach Benning, as Luch said, is going to be an awesome resource for you moving forward. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you have to learn to advocate for yourself. So it's you have to tell yourself, okay? And you have to figure out what it is that you want to do. Soccer is a great game. It's given me and Luch a lot of what we had. Like, we met our wives through this. Like, it's kind of neat. Like, we grew up together and went all the way up the playing scale together. But and then we kind of reconnected at this point. But there are so many parallels in our lives that it's really neat. But the sport was kind of drove us through this whole thing. Okay, guys. So remember this. We're going to give you a bunch of ideas, and I know you have spare time. You have time, and it's never too late or never too early. Sorry, in your case, to begin to creating a portfolio for yourself and to really start doing some homework and figuring out where the heck it is you want to go to school or what you want to do, right? Because now your plan, I'm presuming your pathway through secondary school right now. Am I right, Coach? Is it?
Yeah.
So this, okay, this is going to be really good then, because that 4 years or maybe 5, depending on what you do in high school, really will help shape that portfolio you're going to have. Okay, and if Lucio and I had a dollar for every kid that won the Ontario Cup and did this and plays OPDL and all these wonderful soccer things, but now we're looking at the next level. What differentiates one player from the next? Like, what do you do? What do you have in your toolbox, or what do you have that's different? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, all coaches, we know all the coaches that are going to present to you today too. Everybody wants good people in their program, like good citizens, good people that have good experiences, and all those great intangibles you're going to see through this. So, like I said, pay attention, ask as many questions as you want, challenge us, and we'll try and challenge you too. Okay. So Luch is going to get going. Ready? The playoff.
Right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So when we first started these presentations a while ago, over a year ago, before John was in, actually longer than that, before John was involved. So typically I'm just introducing myself with the first couple of slides, and there's a reason for it. And you'll hear a little bit about what the importance of these first few slides are for our recruitment processes. All right. So just a little bit about myself. I was born in Canada here and lived in Argentina for 5 years, and that will relate to our philosophy of play. And as Coach Benning mentioned and John mentioned, we played with the national program, and went on to play professionally here in Canada and in the United States, both in indoor and outdoor. And I'm currently holding a B license certification. And here's one of our games in Peru. And here is a player on the left screen here, the late Diego Maradona. For those of you who don't know me, Coach Benning knows me. I'm 5'6". I'm 1 inch taller than the best player in the world. And there's a reason why I'm saying this. And here's another player, again, 5'6". That is Pelé, arguably one of the best players of all time as well. He's quite short as well. And so our recruitment process is we're going to talk a little bit about the soccer program at Brock and what it is that Coach John and I and the other coaches do in trying to attract players to come to Brock and to make an impact on our program. And the impact that we need players to make in our program is because our goal for both teams, the men's and the women's, is to make it to nationals and win nationals. Okay, we're not just going to go to nationals and pat each other on the back and go, great job, we're done. We're going to go there with the intention of one day soon, hopefully standing on the top of the mountain, because only one team at the end of the day can stand on the top of the mountain and say, we did it. And hopefully one day that can be us sooner rather than later. Okay, so Coach John and I are receiving emails, 25, 30, 40, 50 a day. And it goes in spurts, sometimes less, sometimes more per day. And with these emails, we need to see some videos, because often we get emails of interest from students saying, yeah, I looked at your program, I'm pretty interested, but they don't send a video. So now I only have a name. So what we'd like to do is create a bit of a library, spreadsheet, whatever you want to call it, and we can see a face to the name, all right? So it leaves a lasting impression, either a good impression or a bad impression, depending on the ability that you show in your videos, okay? Please don't make these videos an hour and a half long. Try it and just include your highlights, okay, if you can. I know it's a bit of work, but most kids are pretty technical right now and can do that easily, where John and I struggle a little bit to condense some videotape games and stuff. So please try and, keep them 10 minutes max. We see a dozen videos a day, and if they're longer than 10 minutes, we kind of start fading and head bobbing like this. So just try and send us your highlights if you can, okay? Second to that is before COVID hit, there were showcases and opportunities for us to attend games live. And of course, because of COVID, we're not allowed to do that. And there haven't been many showcases. I think FTF runs some combines right now, and there may be other companies that do the same. And we know that there have been a lot of limitations with the opportunity to play games. But because of that, if your club is able to have inter-squad games, that'll do as well. There's a few academies that play inter-squads, and we've received several emails and videos from players from academies that aren't allowed to play games right now, and they just send us their inter-squads just to give us an idea of what type of player you are, okay? Typically what we do as well is we will invite recruits to campus 3 times a year during our open houses, so spring, fall, and winter open house. And we will hopefully have a session where you can train and really understand what it's like to be a Brock athlete, because we will take you through our sports performance center, which is our weightlifting area, strength and conditioning area, and we'll take you into a lecture hall. We'll tour you the school. You get to sit and chat with some of our players, ask them questions. And before COVID hit, we had an ID camp, where it was a residential camp where you would have had the opportunity to spend 3 days and 2 nights at Brock in one of our residences, have a meal plan there where you can have, I can't remember what it was, 3 dinners, 3 lunch, 3 dinners, 2 breakfasts, whatever the case was, something like that. And but because of COVID, we weren't allowed to do that. That ID camp would have been a great opportunity for players like yourselves to come in and see what a day in the life of a Brock varsity soccer player would be. John, anything to add?
No, that's great, Luch. So in terms of this is right, as I was saying earlier, where you can start your homework early. Once you get rolling in your high school, you can begin to look at creating. You look at the video. It doesn't matter where it's from. I mean, it might be a bit of a push or a stretch right now, but you can still kind of bank it all. I'll give you a good example. We had a guy. We were looking at a video of a guy really interesting last week, and we watched the video. It didn't look that good. We're watching it together. We were like, and then it was YouTube, and it rolled into a video of the guy from a year ago where he was playing in some showcase down in the States, and he looked awesome. So we continued to look at it. So it's funny, like, so our I don't know, we called the guy just based on that. So, I mean, hopefully, you can only pray that things are going to get better for you guys. But right now, we're relying mainly on this video and that sort of stuff, because by rule, we can't meet face to face with the players. But the other thing you can look at really is creating some sort of a resume for yourself. So you can call it a resume or a profile. Okay. Now you can have either a player profile, which is going to be strictly soccer, or kind of a general profile about yourself, which looks at things like your interests, any awards that you have, any other sports you play, of course, any volunteer work that you might do, and all this stuff, and you kind of throw it in there, and you'll see it. And I know a lot of your schools, through some of the guidance stuff that you're already doing, you can create these profiles online. Take them seriously and start to build. You'd be surprised at how much that you do. That whole, I'm a firm believer in that whole kind of well-roundedness. Okay, you might be really busy with your soccer. That's all you do, but that shouldn't stop you, say, when you go to high school, from maybe trying out for the cross country team right away. So that gets you in. It keeps you fit in the fall. Plus, you'll meet people right off the bat. Okay, and you'll go to different competitions. And I found a lot of soccer players without training. If you get 3 or 4 of your buddies together, you'll find yourself at OFSA early. It just works that way. If you're a girl, you play basketball, try out for that midget or junior team, and the guys got volleyball, or I don't know if they want you playing football, but I would. Right. But anyways, that's just get involved as you move through. You might get involved in your student council, and then maybe some other leadership activities, like, there's link crew and that type of thing, where you can peer mentor, work with kids, kind of any of that stuff. Just get it all down, get on paper, and make sure you present it. Okay. One of the best ideas we had for a recruiting video was a girl. She sent in her tape, but prior to, it was like this. She just videotaped herself. And she said, this is my name, this is where I live, this is my dog. It's kind of neat, right? I have a brother, a sister. These are things I like. And you kind of really personalize it. So we like that. Okay. So that's really, really important. Okay. So all of that is going to now tap into slide number, whatever number we're on right now. Player characteristics. Go ahead, Luch.
Okay. So again, this is just our presentation about our program specifically at Brock. And so when John and I and the other coaches are out recruiting, these are the points that we're looking at that we need to see in a player. Okay. First of all, do you have the technical ability that will allow you to be successful to play in the OUA, which is our division, university soccer? Okay. Then Coach Benning runs an outstanding program wherever he goes, wherever club he's at, and he's known for developing players. So that box should be checked there. Soccer IQ. This pertains to your decision making on the field. Okay, how you read the play, how you anticipate what type of movements that you're going to make. Are you going to penetrate without the ball? Are you going to drop into space? So pretty well your soccer IQ is your decision making. And how do we get to see that? You know, when John and I are able to see you live and outside of seeing your highlight video, we like to go and also see you play live if possible, and watch a game if we can, and see how you manage a game situation, not just highlights, because highlights are just, you know, boom, a cut, you know, a 2-second cut or a minute cut of a game, and doesn't actually show us the entire picture. So that's part two. The third part is physical. I just showed you pictures of two of the best players in the history of the world at 5'6". So we don't go out looking for 6'6" players. Okay. If that was the case, then physical and mental would be at the top of our list. We look at first and foremost, do you have the technical ability? Great. We want you. Do you have soccer IQ where it'll help you be successful at the OUA? Great. We want you. Now, if you're able to withstand the day-to-day beatings, sorry to use that word, but it is a very physical and demanding conference. If you're able to withstand that, and if you're a physical player, a tough player, not one that's going to roll about after you get bumped and cry and start yelling at the referee and that kind of thing, are you able to get up, brush yourself off, and get into a tackle when the opportunity presents itself? Okay, we're not saying to be a dirty player, but Coach Benning knows, because we played against Coach Benning, and he was one of the toughest, along with Coach John, one of the toughest players that we've ever played against. You knew you were in a game when you were playing against these guys. So we would definitely look for that characteristic in a player. It doesn't matter if you're small. Again, Coach Benning's not the tallest guy. Coach John's not the tallest guy, but you knew you ran into a brick wall when you were playing against them, and you knew you were in for a game. And those are the types of players we want. And in brackets there, we have character. We're not looking for a player who's going to start F-bombing the referee or the other coach or the other players and start fights and get into these ridiculous head games and just be a lone wolf on the team and just really start tearing away at the fabric of what it is we're trying to create at Brock. We're not interested. Okay, so it's important that when we have the opportunity to meet you through Zoom, through FaceTime now, because we've had several of these opportunities to meet recruits, and we often like to see their parents in these moments so we can see how they interact with the parents. Okay, we find it's important, and we find that it gives us a little bit of a sign or a telltale of what's possibly what's possible that we're going to see in the next 4 to 5 years with this student athlete. Okay, John?
Yeah, and the big one there, this is all, like I said, you've already, even at your age, you're looking at, your technical ability is important. We don't have a lot of time because normally we tell stories about some of the challenges we've had with our group in that capacity, right? Without that first bullet there, technical ability, you can't do a whole lot. You can't keep the ball. You can't do a lot of the other things maybe your coaches want you to do. Soccer IQ, that's something you work on every single day. I myself, Luch, Coach Dave, we're learning every day. We are. So you keep your eyes open. When games are on, and they're on, there are all kinds of games on, sit down and watch. Watch with somebody who may know a little bit more and listen to what they're saying, and you'll pick up things, and then you'll see them and you'll feel them when you play. But the big one there is your character, and that is all these things that Luch is saying. So if you're one of these guys, if I'm looking up and I make a pass and my teammate makes a mistake or it bounces off their knee, you're throwing up your arms or rolling your eyes, people see that, and nobody wants any part of that, and that becomes part of your reputation, guys and girls. Okay, it does, and that reputation is something you can control, but it does follow you. So when you get to, and it comes quick, when you get to that level where you may want to play after high school, the questions go. They see you, they know you're a good player, so they come out, they check you out. Okay, first question: what are they like? Like what are they like? What is their character? And all coaches, like, nobody's gonna lie, right? Because their reputation's at stake. So that's something, when coaches are saying great teammate, works hard, first person at practice, last person to leave, always working on their game, that sort of stuff, positive, tough, all this sort of stuff, it sticks, and coaches love to hear that. Okay. And then the third, and we're going to talk about something else you can control, is your grades. Okay. And your grades are really, really, really important. So these are things that in becoming a student athlete, right? It's not an athlete student, it's a student athlete. So we'll get into this later on when we talk specifically about Brock, but it's something that's really, really important. When you come into our care, you're there to get a degree first. And you know what? Combine that with soccer, and it's the greatest lifestyle of all time. It really is. Okay. All right. Move on.
Okay. So at Brock, and most programs probably have something similar to this, but this is our building blocks. This is how we develop our program and our players. We have three models: a model of play, so it's how we play, and we'll get into these in the next few slides. We have a specific game model, which means how we're going to play against a certain opponent, and then our training model. Okay. All right. So our model of play, basically, this is our identity. How does Brock play? Okay. So when we play UBC, University of British Columbia, or we play a team out east, or we play any team in Ontario, if you were to ask the coach or any coach, they would hopefully be able to tell you that Brock plays a certain way. Okay. And we'd hope that they would say we're an attack-focused team, and that we are trying and attempting to be a possession-based team who are going to play through the thirds of the field with possession. So we're not going to bypass the midfield. When I played at Brock as a center midfielder, I saw the ball sail over my head more times than I got the ball to my feet, and I think I still have neck injuries from that. And so I said, there's no way we're going to play that way, because part of playing is enjoying playing, correct? So sorry, defenders, but I have a lot of joy when I have the ball at my feet, as opposed to trying to go get the ball off of someone like Coach Benning or Coach John. So I enjoy it more when I have the ball at my feet. Okay, sorry, defenders. And the system that we are looking at playing is a fluid system that we're going to build through the thirds, and allows the players, and this is where the soccer IQ comes in, the freedom to make mistakes and decisions. Okay, we're all going to make mistakes. Coach John and I and Coach Benning, we make mistakes coaching all the time, and we know that that's the expectation. You're going to make a mistake, but we're not going to be Xbox coaches and press the B, A, A, C buttons to move you on the field and make decisions for you. Okay, so in our training sessions, which you'll see in a little bit, the next couple of slides, we're going to develop situations on the field in training where it's going to help you improve your soccer IQ by exposing you to situations in training that will mimic a game-like situation. Okay, so when it comes time to play the game, and you're confronted with that situation, you'll be like, oh yeah, we did this in training. Boom, the decision's made quickly, and you're not standing around looking for a decision or an option to make a decision easy, right? So that's the type of style that we play. But when we play the better teams like the Yorks and the Guelphs and the McMasters and the Westerns, sometimes this model of play isn't so evident, because they're very strong and attack-minded, and they kind of pin us back, and we kind of seem like we're playing a defensive game, but that's not the intention. Okay, so a game model is exactly what it says. It's a game model, and it's based on that individual game. Okay, so if we're playing Guelph, that model, how we prepare to play against Guelph, will be different than how it is we're going to play against McMaster. Or if we're playing against Pickering, it's going to look different than how we're going to play against Burlington. Okay, so based on our intel that we have on our opponents, we're going to look at some things. Okay, so there in every game you can break down instances in games where we can see mistakes have been made or opportunities have been passed up where we didn't take our chances or didn't create our chances based on these things here: phases of play and our principles, our offensive and defensive principles of play. And we're also looking at responsibilities for individuals. So if they miss their responsibility, they didn't do what they were supposed to be doing as an individual or within a unit, so our defensive unit or midfield, all our midfielders are caught too high up the park and the other team's bearing down on us and there's a big gap in the midfield. So we talk about responsibilities of units as well as individuals, okay? And also obviously collectively as a unit of 11 as well, okay? John, anything?
No, keep her going.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Dave, are we on a timeline like Zoom, 45 minutes to an hour? We're good? We got 3 hours?
Yeah.
All right. So part of this game model is, you're confronted with different situations, and we just threw up this kind of scenario here, right? So when you're playing a team, and because we're Brock and we're not considered one of the top technical teams, I mean, we finished third last year overall. So I think we were trending in the right direction, but for the first 3 years of my coaching at Brock, we heard a lot of teams say, "Oh, it's just Brock." So it's almost like a guaranteed win night every time they play Brock. Well, it's not the case anymore. We're battling quite hard, and again, we finished third last year, so we'll let that stay where it is. So a couple ways to break a press. We found that teams were pressing us, and this is part of your soccer IQ again. So if we like to play out the back. So if our goalkeeper decides it's the opportune moment to play out the back and rolls it out to one of our fullbacks, if they're pressing high, this player has 4 ways of breaking a press. Are they going over? Sometimes it necessitates that where they have to play a long ball over top of a high press. Sometimes you have to play through a press. Okay, so that's going to be in between the lines of your forwards and midfielders. So you're playing in the gaps there. Sometimes you play into pressure where you're going to collapse, say into midfield, and you collapse. There are 2 midfielders in on you. You rebound the ball back out, 1 touch back out to you, and that would allow an opportunity for you to play around them. But this has to happen with quick passing, and this has to happen if we have the technical ability to do so. It all falls apart if I pass to John and John goes to pass to Coach Dave and Dave goes to pass to me and I can't control Coach Dave's pass and now the ball's in the back of our net. Okay, so we have to ensure that John will tell you this story. We have to change some things when we realized that we really couldn't do what we wanted to do because our technical standard wasn't where it needed to be. So we had to go back and fix some things, okay? So with rapid rotations of passes throughout the team, you're going to see that there are gaps that are created, or seams we call them, and we try and off-balance teams with rapid passing, and hopefully the players, recognize where spaces are that we can penetrate and be successful by making the right decision. Anything, John?
No, I'm going to talk when you get to the next one.
Okay, buddy.
I'll throw it in there.
Any questions, Coach Dave?
No, it's good.
No?
That you're telling them what a game model, training model is.
Okay.
We've discussed it in the culture change that we're doing. So it's good to see that you guys have. I mean, we should all have similar situations of what our thoughts are on the game and how we played, but it helps align for them to understand why do we train the way we do, and knowing that the next step is where you need to be, and your models are similar to ours.
Oh, good to hear.
That is good.
So we can't do anything on the field in a game situation if we're not training it, as Coach Dave just said. Okay, we have to train scenarios. We have to train situations where it becomes second nature to the player. Okay, so we may rep a certain theme for a couple of weeks, but our season is so condensed. It goes from, without COVID, it would go from middle of August to November 1st, okay? And your season is done. So we really don't have a lot of time to teach you soccer IQ in that, like if you're a first year player, so over 4 years, hopefully we have some sort of impact on your learning. And so it's a real condensed season, and we don't have a lot of time to develop your technical skills or your tactical skills and awareness, okay? So our training model you gather the team at center or in the end zone if we're waiting to get on the field because another team's using it, and we'll introduce the session, what our theme is, okay? We have a Brock Sports Performance program, which is a strength and conditioning program that all varsity athletes at Brock have to participate in. So they have in-season, postseason, preseason training programs. And we're talking about weights, speed, nutrition, all these variables that will make you a better player. Okay. So they are responsible for doing our warm-ups. And we will do a technical warm-up, which John will talk about in a couple seconds, that we had to spend a little more time in the technical area than we really intended on. And then the next 5 points were really critical. We find that, we can turn to any coach's manual or drill book and turn to whatever page and go, yeah, we really like this drill on page 32. Let's do this drill. But find that the players don't make that connection between the drill and the game-like situation. So we really focus on the perception of the players understanding why we're doing this drill and where the connection is to the game. Okay, and our game model. And we're always going to be insistent on what we do, that it is connecting to our play model. Okay. And that is part 2 there, B, connection with our model of play and game model. Okay, so entering the stages, you might call them thirds. We call them stages, stage 1, 2, and 3. So stage 1 will be our defensive third, midfield third is stage 2, and stage 3 is our attacking third, okay? Just as simpler, stage 1, 2, 3, instead of attacking third, is 2 verbose. So we will consistently work on entering those zones. If we know a Guelph will press us high, then our sessions preparing for that game is how to play out the back. So we'll figure out how to be fluid, playing out the back, and there's no magic wand that's going to make it perfect every time. The best teams in the world struggle playing out the back sometimes. Depends on what the other team is exposing you to, okay? And D is perfecting the exploitation of space, and as a defender, reducing space and marking. And so we find that it's critical that our players, and I find there's a big need for exploiting space. I don't think North American players do a great job of that. If anyone watched the Canada-Mexico Olympic qualifying game last night, the Mexicans were outstanding at creating space and exploiting space and behind the strikers, midfielders, and Canadian defenders, just at will. They're doing it very well yesterday. And I don't find that is something intrinsic that we do very well in Canada and North America for some reason. And so on the defensive side, we also will work on the defending player's perception of, where is it that the team is trying to exploit and attack. So as a player's closing down, as one of our fullbacks is closing down the opposing winger, the other 3 defenders who are in a supporting role will have to figure out where is it that, the striker that I'm marking might run into. So he has to watch the player who's dribbling the ball, plus keep an eye on his striker who maybe or maybe not be making a diagonal run, or maybe he'll be pulling off the shoulder and going on to center back's blind side. So he has to do a double take, look at the ball, look at the player, look at the ball, look at the player. And so those are things that we will work on consistently. And then obviously, I don't know what you call it, Dave, if you call it shadow play or skeleton play, that we work on positional play where the ball plays without opposition. And we'll just go through, repetitions. Right fullback gets the ball, goes out to the winger, goes into the midfield, goes to the striker, goes to the opposite side. And we'll just repeat different scenarios of playing out the back. John?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, what happens is you go back to the previous slide. Lucio's got the guys, they're playing, we're playing these games. We legitimately want to play a possession game. That is, keep the ball, get forward on your terms, right? Stay organized. Obviously, there's a defensive component to all of that, but part of all of this is when I went back we talked about those other 3 kind of pieces. One of them was the technical piece. So after game 2, coaches all kind of put our heads together. We said, we got a little bit of a problem here. One, the guys aren't technical enough, and girls aren't technical enough to pull this off. B, they weren't fit enough. Like you got to be fit. They weren't fit. So now the enemy now is the clock at practice. So where you have your technical warm up and all that sort of stuff, A and B now are simple stuff that I'm sure you guys have done your whole lives. Simple passing drills, simple one touch, two touch drills, just to get these guys to get their habits. Like we had to kind of reprogram a lot of these kids because they were so poor technically, you know. And we don't have the time, as you'll see moving on. In the course of such a intense season. So, you know, you showing up to this stuff, these you know, down the road, any team you're trying out for, if you're a technical player, it's good. Then I mean, the coach can become a little bit more advanced with what you're doing. Otherwise, I mean, these basics, they're the basics. They are what they are. So that's really, really important for all of us. So we had to really reinvent the wheel. And then thrown into all of that is, like Luke said, game plan, set plays, all that sort of stuff, because you want to be super organized, right? And it just, like, we're always running out of time as we're moving forward. But, you know, but we made it a real point of emphasis. Again, COVID kind of nuked all of that, but we made it a point of emphasis, you know, the technical part, the fitness part. And now these guys are in a situation where there's 2 years of recruits that are standing on the sidelines. It's going to be a real interesting tryout. And we're going to tell these guys all those things we were harping about 2 years ago. You better come equipped with this, or it's going to be a sad time for you. You know, that's life, right? So, but again, these are things you can control as a player. Okay. All right. Move on.
Okay. So part of that training model is this continuum that we ask our players to do. And it's a continuum because it just keeps going. You see, you think, and then you play. So we're asking you to scan the field, asking you to think of possibilities, and then we're asking you to play the ball. Or it might be run into space, okay? See, think, play, continuously, okay? So here's a snapshot of what it would be like.
Sorry, can we roll back to that one there, Luch?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, but at this age group, this is really, really, really important. I hope you understand. So basically, you're out on the field, you know, something happens or something's about to happen, recognize it. The think part, obviously, is what are you going to do? Okay, how are you going to react? Hopefully think, not overthink, because then it's not going to work for you. And then play. But you notice the arrow loops back up because it's a continuum. It's always happening. And it's not always, you know, oh, the ball's come, a striker, the ball's coming to me. What am I going to do? It's the ball's in the attack and third. I'm at the back, right? And we have this thing. We work with our backs. We say we are most vulnerable when we have the ball. That means when we're in possession, it's not time to turn to your body and go, hey, look, oh, what a play. And then all of a sudden, oh, here they come. Or they have a quick free kick and it's in the back of our net. So that's why all of this occurs like simultaneously all over the field. It's like a giant computer. And the great teams all do it effortlessly. And you can see, I mean, Lucio, the latest example, every time we talk, we have a different example, was that U23 performance last night from that Mexican team. And it was something to see. Yeah. Canada didn't look like much change since 1980. I don't know what it was, 85, 84, when we played, really. I mean, it's a shame, but these are things, you know, when your coach is telling you, you know, become a good technical player, but be good under pressure too. Make these decisions quick. So this is really, really important. This is something you have to continue to strive for. And again, it's like you control this too. All right, back to the season.
Okay, so this is a snapshot of what it would be like if you were a Brock Badger. Now, this is fictional. It's not an actual 1 week snapshot. Okay, so we typically play games on the weekends. Universities that do not have American football programs, they typically play Saturday, Sunday. So Brock has never had an American football team, but I think every other university does. Almost every other university does. So teams that do have American football programs, they're asked to not have soccer games fall back to back Saturday, Sunday. So they will find a midweek, so Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday night game, and then play on a Sunday. Because typically the American football games go on Saturdays, okay? So we have to play back-to-back. And you all have played in tournaments and showcases. So you play 3 games on the Saturday, and then the first game on the Sunday, you're feeling a little bit sore, a little bit heavy maybe. It's pretty tough. It's quite demanding. And if you remember my third point, being able to physically withstand the day-to-day beatings that you take in OUA, this is what I'm referring to. Are you able to be named to our roster of 18 on the second day? You may have been a standout on the Saturday, but you have got nothing in the tank, or you're injured and you can't continue on the Sunday. Now we have to go to a different player on the team, and that's fine. And we've done that. We rotate players in and out of our starting roster, our 18, all the time. But if you're a starter, we'd like for you to remain a starter and not give up that position so easily, because you might have a niggling injury or you're not fit, you're not at the standard. Speaking of fitness, that you need to be, and therefore we can't rely on you on Sunday, okay? Because the season is so short. If you start throwing away points because, yeah, I like John as a player, but he's really not at the standard, and we put him in and he causes a goal and we lose 1-0, it's hard to regain those 3 points in the next game and try and get to the playoffs, okay? So this is what it looks like. We play on Saturday, Sunday. The day before and the day after will be a day of recovery for you. So Friday before the weekend, that'll be time for you to go get some treatment if you need, ice, muscle rub downs, stretching, whatever you need to, okay? The day after, it's the same thing. You're likely going to have a couple of scrapes and scratches and bruises and maybe a contusion on one of your muscles, so you need ice and you need some treatment. That's your time, okay? Plus, our Brock Sports Performance will also do a recovery session with you the day after. So they'll do some light jogging and just get you prepared for our 3 training sessions midweek, okay? So we go back to back with the boys and the girls, the men's and the women's team. So you can see that our training session is anywhere from starting at 6 to starting at 9. So the gentlemen may go first and the women will tag right afterwards. So as the guys are leaving the field, the girls or the women are doing their warm up in the end zone, and vice versa on the next day. So the women will start first on the Wednesday, and the men will tag afterwards. Okay, so that flip flops all year long. And so if we're playing at Waterloo, the bus departs at 9:30, and we roll out of the parking lot with or without you. Okay, we've had to stop a couple times because we've seen a couple kids with their pillows and their books and their soccer bags under their arms. They're running after the bus, and all right, we'll stop. But typically, we'll roll without you. Okay, it's happened a few times. Players have had to find their own rides to out of town games, and if you're serious about playing on the team, then that's your responsibility. You better get to the game, or we're there with 17. And we travel with both teams on the same bus. And so the women will play at 1 o'clock and the men will play at 3:15. So when the women are dropped off to the stadium to do their pre-game preparations, the men will go grab something to eat and come back and support the women's team. And when the men go into the change room just before the end of the second half, partway through the second half, the women, when they're done, they'll get changed, go out for dinner, and then come back and support the men's team. So there's always a bit of a crowd at our games. And if you look at Sunday, we're playing Western at home. Time to report to change rooms are there at 12 o'clock, 11:12, and 1:45. Usually about an hour and 15 minutes before game time. Every coach is different. Sometimes it's a couple hours, sometimes an hour, sometimes 45 minutes. It depends on the coaches. We're there usually about an hour and a half before, and coaches have to have our meetings and talk about game day stuff and get prepared that way. John?
Yeah. So again, if you look at it, this continuum, it's this is how it is. But you look at the blue is the training. Now, also thrown in there are we have positional meetings with them. Sometimes that Friday off day is going to be reviewing video. Sometimes even between games on the Saturday, Sunday, because we do a lot of that. We break down our games with a film and all that. So that becomes part of it. So it's a super intense time. You'll notice the times though they're later on, because again it allows you the opportunity to go to class. Mm-hmm. If for whatever reason you have a lab or something, it's a once a week, and it's at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday, and we have practice, then you go to your lab. That's just the way it goes, because that's why you're there. But you'll notice though, the training Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, go back to that sort of that continuum where Lucio's talking about what our model of play, our model of our training model right here. All of this is packed in. So I'll tell you, I'll just give you the last example. This is because I want this to be a bit of a reality check for you guys too. 33, we have 33 or 34 guys, Luch, on the roster. 33?
31 and
Sorry.
2 are redshirted, correct.
Right. Okay, so 31. Only 11 can play, as you know. 18 can dress. 2 of them are goalies. So you do your math there. So if you're looking there, let's say you're on the fringe of making that starting lineup, but you're not getting in there. How on earth do you show your stuff to the coaches? Like, what can you do? If you say, well, he's never even seen me play. That the bottom line is, there's always opportunity throughout that practice to get in, do a demonstration. If you're saying, okay, the starting 11 is going to play against another group, get in there and work your butt off and show that you want to be part of this and that you're capable. There's also on game days, if you're not in that dressed 18, there's fitness. Show up, work hard, because they're always reported back. Always. First thing we hear when we get to the game on Saturday, there was a great workout. So-and-so was there again. Like, they're ready. So these are things when we talk again about your attitude, because you also have the next person up mentality. Luch is talking about scrapes and bruises. I mean, when you get these games are fast, they're intense, they're physical. I know even, you head down south to the NCAA, it's another level, again, of that physical nature. So, somebody gets injured, next person in. Somebody gets carded or suspended. Somebody's academically ineligible. You got to be ready to go. And it's not easy, but again, it's something you can control. And once you get in there and you show your face, then make that spot your own. Own it. That's on you. So we want the best of the best to be in there, right? We don't get paid to win, but it's nice to win, as Luch said. And if you get the right people, if nothing else, you're pushing the 11 that are out there. I mean, with the men's, we went to the second round, so our provincial semifinal, and we had what do we have? 6 first-year guys?
Yeah, 6 rookies.
6 rookies.
The starting lineup. 2
of them we barely made the team, but they worked and worked and worked and worked. They made it really difficult for us not to choose them, and that's a great lesson for you guys at your age, right? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So again, this is it. The life during season, and then there's a lot more that goes on off season and that type of thing once you're part of the program.
Right.
Luch, because we got 5 minutes, right?
Sure.
So I'm gonna let the kids see if they have any questions.
That's great, buddy.
And if not, let me just see. So if any of the players have a question, if they can put their hands up in the chat room, and then I can allow you guys to ask them the questions. So that'd be great. Luch, John, what's something quickly that you can tell them about the school? Why should Brock be a school that they consider academic?
Hey, John, you want to talk about your daughter? She's at Brock right now, and tell them why she felt she wanted to go to Brock.
Well, first of all, I said there's 2. That's a great question. It's going to get to that.
It's a great question.
We just looked at the clock now. I feel like we're at one of our practices. Okay, so what happened is, she was recruited to go down south. She was recruited to go all over the place. My thing was, she had great marks. Again, that profile was loaded. And she said, you know what? I choose Brock. And the reason she chose Brock was, first of all, she's studying biomedical science, so that they do have a great program there. So if you're looking at anything, teaching, business, nursing, sports management programs, the best in the country.
Kinesiology.
Yeah, kinesiology. These are all things that Brock really stands out in. But it was kind of that she just felt welcome. She went to a couple sessions, and the players made her feel really, really welcome and at home. Okay, so my middle daughter went to another school, was highly recruited by them. I was excited because I actually went to that school. I thought this is gonna be good. Right? Chip off the old block, and then but she wanted to go into engineering, chemical engineering. So we met the coach, who's no longer there. Okay, but the coach was sitting there and said, she said, well, I'm either then it was a toss up, actuarial science or engineering. And like, how do I fit all that in with like playing? And he looked at it and goes, I don't know. He says, we've never really had anybody of that level. And then I went, ugh. And so anyways, driving home, she said, I'm going to that school. I'm not playing, because there was zero connect between, the school and the soccer program, right? The question we always get from kids is, they always ask, Luch, what do you like as a coach? What do you like as a coach? Well, I can answer that because I know him, but I'm going to give you an unbiased opinion. I said, when I showed up for the guys program first, the guys welcomed me with open arms. I was nervous. Of course, it's a new thing, but we got to work right away. They were awesome. But and I know Coach mentioned the word culture. That's a culture, Luch. It took him 4 years. He broke a lot of hearts doing it, but that's the culture he developed. And it's a real kind of family oriented, and it's legit. We're not just saying that. A lot of people say it, but it is. Luch is very approachable. The two of us are at the school a lot after hours. In the off season, we wander the halls, we go to meetings and stuff. We see the players, and they know. They'll approach us if they have questions about the game, personal things. It's a big change, okay? So as you're deciding what school you want to go to, even at this age, think about certain things. Think about the size of the school. Brock is a smaller school. It's enclosed. So when you're university, you're not in the middle. It's not blended in the city like some of the other schools. So it's a real university setting. There's no football team, which means when you play on a Saturday, you're the big guy or girl on the block. People come watch because there's nothing else to do, so they come watch you. Otherwise, you're gonna say you'll be playing and you on some auxiliary field, and you'll hear everybody hooting and hollering because they're cheering for the football team, especially if it's a good team. And then it kind of sucks, but.
The other thing is that
you're involved there.
The other thing is that Brock is a host for one of the site for Canada Games, and so what I want to talk about is the facilities. They're continuously expanding the facilities. If I'm not sure when the last time was you were on campus, Dave, if ever, it looks totally different. So now we have a brand new stadium. We have a brand new athletic facility being built with an arena, a track, our second indoor track. A couple gymnasiums, 14,000 square foot weight training facility.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Just state of the art now. So
it's so much different now. It's everybody that I've talked to said that they've made massive investment in the facilities, where when I was coaching at university, it wasn't like that. And it's great to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, you two know what it was like when we went to
Absolutely.
school, and what they're getting now. So that's really it's great to hear those changes that they're investing in. Not just the players, but the entire population to get them to be active, right? So that's really good. Luch, John, I've run out of time because they're going to go on to the next one. But I wanted to really thank you both for taking the time out of your day to be able to talk to the players. It really helps them understand why we do what we do, or why we're changing the culture, or what are the purposes of our daily interactions between their coaches and the players, or the players and myself, or whatever. But the information that you've given them about what you're doing at Brock has been really good for them to be able to compare not only Brock against another school, but Brock against their own program here at Pickering. So that's great. Okay.
Awesome.
So I want to thank you. I know that you two are great guys. You guys are great guys. I think you're getting soft and stopping the bus. I wouldn't. The bus was never stopped for us, man. Tony would make us run all the way, right? So, two great guys that have got soccer experience, getting soft as they get older. So I appreciate it. All right, John, congratulations on retiring so young.
Yeah,
so that's great for you, right? So good for you. All right.
Well,
guys, thank you so much on behalf of the kids.
We know you're in good hands, and thanks for having us. And if you ever need to reach out to us, please contact Coach Dave, and he can put you in contact with us. Okay. We appreciate you sitting there listening and taking in all that.
No problem. Thanks, Luch. Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys. Good luck in the season 2 coming up. Okay.
All the best, folks.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Dave.